You want to buy a house in 2022. Okay, let me walk you through a couple things that are worth starting now. As I film this, it's December 2021, but if you're watching this even in 2022, this can help you prepare if you're looking to buy in the next 2 to 3 months. Okay, so I'm going to use this as my timeline. So we're in the middle of December. What I would suggest is that number one, if you pay off your credit cards every single month, okay, I want you to pay it off by the end of the month. Seriously. So if I was preparing to buy a house, I would be paying off my credit cards by the 28th of the month prior to when I was applying. Yep. And it's because when a lender pulls your credit report, it's not based on the actual date we pull it. It's based on the last times the creditors reported to the bureaus. Generally, the creditors report to the bureaus in the middle and the end of the month. So I would want that cleared off. So that would be my tip number one. Tip number two, if you're in a position where your credit's not great and you've heard about debt negotiation or debt settlement, I would actually urge you to try to stay away from that. From what I see as a lender, people will be like, oh, well, I got all my debt taken care of. Well, guess what? When I pull credit, even if your score is decent, if I show on your report that you settled a lot of debt recently for less than what was owed, it usually kicks it to a refer on my computer. That's for all lenders. And the reason is that beyond the score, when we're underwriting a file electronically, okay, it's looking at how you've handled debt in the past. So if you're thinking about doing debt negotiation or debt settlement, I would strongly urge you to speak to a credit expert, a legit one. I have one. His name's Ken Stray at Scorewell. He's great. We do not get kickbacks or anything disgusting like that. But look, he's honest. He's not going to BS you. But debt settlement, debt negotiation, I'd be very cautious of because I see it go sour way too much. The other thing is, if you guys are thinking of buying in the next 2 to 3 months, do not open up any new credit. Don't. And if you're like, well, I'm going to refinance my car, just don't do it. And the reason is people go, well, if I refinance my car, the payment's going to go down lower. Isn't that better? Sure, if you refinanced your car like a year and a half ago, but if you refinance your car, it's going to be a hard hit to your credit and it's going to show up as a new trade line. Even though you're refinancing, it's a new trade line. So really don't do any moves with your credit right before you buy a house. Do not open cards, do not close cards, do not max out cards, do not get a Macy discount. If you guys didn't see my video, it was the week after Thanksgiving about freezing your credit. Watch it, freeze it. If you have any temptation, it's a pain in the butt to unfreeze your credit, so that Macy's discount or whatever, you will avoid it, okay? So far we've covered number one, we're going to pay down debt. Number two, we're not doing debt settlement or debt negotiation. Number three, we're not opening or closing any new trade lines. Okay, that's our credit portion, okay? Oh, don't co-sign on anything, seriously. Sometimes people are like, oh, well, my brother needed a house, so I just co-signed. It doesn't matter, right? It totally matters. You just co-signed. And that can affect your ability to qualify in 2 ways. Number one, if you just co-signed on a house, I have to show your brother's made 12 months of payments before I can exclude that debt from you. And number two, it's a new trade line and it's a big trade line. So yeah, guys, no, just no. Okay, money makes the world go round, right? Okay, so please no big deposits into your account. Whenever let's say you're gonna put down $10,000 and I'm like, great, what account is it in? And you're like, oh, it's in my Chase. Okay, cool. I need your 2 most recent Chase statements. As a lender, what is a problem is if I see big deposits. So if I see, oh yeah, you have $10,000 in there, but you deposited $8,000 a week ago and it's cash, and you're like, oh yeah, my friends at work owed me money, so I collected it all. No, if your friends at work owe you money and they pay it back to you, unless you have paperwork documenting that it's a loan, use that money to buy groceries, use that money to pay your gas, use that money for stuff, but don't deposit it into your bank. If you deposit it into your bank account, I have to be able to source it. That's the Patriot Act, it's anti-money laundering, blah, blah, blah. Bottom line, do not deposit cash into your bank account. Since we're near Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, and I feel like there's more, if you're getting gifts from people of cash, do not deposit it into your bank account. Once again, use it for your day-to-day expenses. Paychecks, deposit those. Bonuses, deposit those. You know, a loan that you gave someone that you have full documentation on and I can paper trail, deposit it. You just sold a car and you can show me, you know, the documentation on it, cool. Anything else? No. Don't do it. Don't do it. You liquidated a bunch of crypto but didn't call me first to make sure we could track it. Just don't. Just don't. And guys, if you are going to be liquidating crypto, please call us first so I can have you talk with CJ on my team who can walk you through if it's going to work with the way that you hold your assets. Because the one thing with crypto, if it's like Coinbase, you know, some of the bigger accounts, easy. If it's some wallet that you like created off of a drive, I mean, I've heard some stuff where I'm like, whoa, right? May not be able to source it. So I don't want you liquidating it until we know we can source it, because it would be such a bummer to trigger capital gains and then find out that every lender is going to freak out. Okay, good. Money. We're going to put that to the right. Also, something important to know, if you're thinking of buying an investment property, you can't get a gift. Okay, so if your goal was dad's gonna give me $50,000 to buy investment property for Christmas, absolutely not. Investment, it needs to be your own funds. Okay, other loans, not so much. Investment, yes. Okay, so we're putting money to the side. Now we're gonna go into income. Okay, so if you're gonna switch jobs, tell us during the pre-approval process. Don't have us pre-approve you and then once you're in the loan, be like, oh yeah, I switched jobs, but I was already pre-approved. It doesn't matter, right? No, it matters. It matters. So when we close your loan, the information we close your loan with has to be the same as what's on the application. So if your income changes, if your job changes, it all has to match. So very important. If you decide to quit your job January 1st and become self-employed, and I pre-qualified you 3 months ago, guess what? You don't qualify. Sorry. So whenever you guys are making job switches, talk to the lender, okay? Make sure it's gonna work. And you know, you don't wanna stay in a job just to get a house. I can't stress that enough. Do not stay in a job just to get a house to then become self-employed or something like that. But you do want to make sure the lender knows what's going on. Also, what I'll see sometimes is I'll see that employers are changing comp agreements. Maybe someone was like W-2 and a little commission and they're switching to all commission, and you know, excuse me, not W-2. They were like a base and commission, and they're switching to all commission. And they're like, well, I've been there for 6 years and I always make this and the commission will be the same. No, it's a new ball game. So the beginning of the year is where we see a lot of these negotiations. Really important to talk to a lender. Really important. And if a lender is ever telling you guys like, oh, we'll just stay in it until the loan closes. No. And look, it's just not ethical. It's not, and it can hurt you. You know, if you're starting a new business, if you're giving up your day job and you're going 100% into self-employed and this is a brand new business that you've never done before, do I think you should be buying a house based off of your income as fully employed? Absolutely not. It limits what you can do as a self-employed person because you've got this big weight around your neck and we don't know how this business is going to do yet. So be really cognizant about the people you're talking to if they have your best interest at heart. So those are really the big things that I would be being mindful of if I was getting ready to buy a house in 2022. Beyond that, make sure the lenders that you're working with, you're researching. I'm licensed in 48 states. If you get on my calendar, which you can easily click and book, or you call me, you're always going to be working with me. I will never sell you as a lead or have someone else work with you. So I'm happy to help, but if you're in Utah or Rhode Island, there's lots of good lenders there. Just make sure you research the lender before you fill out any applications. So as always, thanks for watching, guys.